It is 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting of the Richland County Board of Supervisors for November to order and ask that the clerk take the roll for us, please.
Carroll.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Kramer.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Manning.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
Glassberg.
Here.
Harwick.
Here.
Woodhouse.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove. Frank.
Here.
Severson.
Present.
Williamson.
Here.
Cooey. Fleming.
Here.
Brookins.
Here.
And McGuire. You have 17 present. You have 1.
Do we have anyone present for the invocation tonight?
I can do it.
Yeah, Pastor. Larry, if you'd be willing to, that'd be awesome.
Lord, we place ourselves in your hands in the season of Thanksgiving. We give you thanks for Richland County, its people, and these leaders. We ask your blessing on them tonight, that they listen deeply to each other and make decisions in the best interest of the county and of the citizenry. Amen.
Thank you. Clerk, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we use improperly noticed.
We have before us a 30-point agenda. A motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Brewer, second by Mr. McKee to approve the 30-pointer. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Let's leave that. I couldn't resist. We also have been presented with the minutes of the October 29th meeting. Anybody have any corrections? Yeah, it was a long one. Corrections, comments, changes that we need to make to that? Hearing none, the chair declares that those minutes are approved. Item number 8, public comment. Do we have any members of the public here that wish to comment tonight? Mr. Perry.
I think it's important to note the passing of Susan Marino, a former neighbor of ours, but she was an outspoken former member of the County Board of Supervisors and was the first female city council representative in the city's history. And Susan passed away recently in Rochester, Minnesota, where she'd gone to live near her sons, and local services will be in late December here.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to address the board? Or anyone online? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to item 9, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions, starting off with a District 6 County Board of Supervisor. And we've had 2 submit applications.
We have. They were included in your packet, and I also sent them to you a week or so after the deadline. So the 2 individuals are Thomas W. Perry and Larry Engel. They're both sitting behind you or in front of you, depending on where you're at. So, Chair Turk, I believe they can address the group.
Yep, we'll give each of them a few minutes to share, and Larry, since you did the prayer, maybe we'll let Tim go ahead and we'll start with first.
Go ahead.
No, you. Sorry.
I thought a little, thanks for having me here tonight, and I thought how I wanted to speak. I don't want to make this really short, but I thought I should lead with talking about my worst characteristic. Rather than come here and tell you how good I am, I'm going to tell you about the worst part of me. The worst part of me is I've often been caught talking when I should have been listening, and that's not a good thing. I sometimes cover up my insecurity with humor, and worse, sarcasm. So, that house cleaning done, like I said, I'm Tom Perry, live out in Steamboat Hollow. You know, I've never done this job, so I can't even tell you I'm qualified to do it. I'm not going to stand here and tell you I'm qualified to do it, because I know what the job is, I haven't done it yet. What I have done, in the Richland Center School District, born and raised out here, left this area when I was 16. Joined the Navy after high school, served in the Navy, made my living in Walworth County, up until about age 40. I moved back to our family farm in Steamboat Hollow. A couple different jobs around town, but the biggie was for about 15 years, I was maintenance guy down in Pine Valley. I retired out of there. I don't know the year, it doesn't really matter. Worked down there 15 years, retired out of there. And since then, and even overlapping a little bit, been involved with the veterans community in town, past commander of the American Legion, active in the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and been doing the Honor Guard for a number of years. That's kind of some of my community service. But the one I'm probably most proud of is I've been chief inspector out in the town of Rockbridge for a number of years out there. Did that during COVID, and I'm going to blow my own horn here just a little bit. Did it when no one else would. We had the National Guard and myself there running that election. I'm as equally proud of that as I am in military service, I'll tell you that. This seat came open, and like I said, I didn't know much about it, but I thought, you know, I just want to be of help to the community if I can. If I can help, I will do that. I'm not going to ramble on about anything else I've really done in life. Same stuff all the rest of you did, you know. I'm a husband, a grandpa, a property owner, you know, a concerned citizen. I pay my taxes. Anyway, thanks for hearing me and giving me your consideration.
Well, I'm Larry Engel. I'm currently the pastor at 5 Points. My wife and I have lived in the county for about 32 years now. We raised 5 boys here. We've been involved in a variety of different things over the years. I think if you were to appoint me and I was to join you, I would bring the following kind of styles. So what you would expect from me. I think if you ask anybody I work with in the county, they'd give you a list of a couple things. The first would be he shows up on time, he does his homework. When there's conflicts and problems, he doesn't step away from them, he steps into them, he tries to mediate them, he tries to listen to everybody in the room. If somebody's quiet, he will draw them out, because the reason I'm doing that is to get all the information on the table before the decision's made. We think outside the box sometimes when that happens, and I also try to move to consensus, trying to keep all parties at the same table. When that's not possible, we do the majority rules. When majority rule works, the nice thing about that is you can always be self-corrective and go back and redo it. So it's a process that I'm very comfortable with. I think I'd also tell you that my agenda would always be the common good of the county. So I'd always be asking which benefits the most people. That'd be the lens kind of I'd look through all the time. I wouldn't have an agenda other than that. I would ask what the county involvement in economic development has been. 15 years ago when Ann Greenheck was here and I was a Star Spangled, she put a bunch of us on the Economic Development Committee and a lot of good things were done. And that's changed since then. But I think that's an important thing for the county to think about. When I did my doctoral work at Marquette, I also did a vein on that on ethics. And I know the last time I was here, you're putting an ethics committee together. So I'm very versed in that field and have done hospital ethics committees, university committees, church committees, all on ethical decision making and how to do that. If you wanted some advice on that, I'd be more than happy to do it. But if you didn't, that would be fine too. And I think the last thing people would tell you is Larry does not like long meetings, and he keeps meetings as short like he does his prayers. So, thank you.
Okay, you've had a chance to hear from both the folks who've applied. Do you have a question they'd like to ask?
Will this be by ballot?
Yes, we're going to pass ballots around here in just a second.
I know that I've seen Tom out at the polling place. Every time I vote,
Okay.
so every time. I've seen Larry in action. At church, I've seen him in action.
Pardon?
I've seen you at church. You handled a wedding I attended.
I hope that was good.
They're still together. It's a wonderful ceremony. Read.
Any other questions for either of the applicants? If not, the clerk will distribute ballots for us to indicate either Engel or Perry for your choice. These are not secret ballots, but they are written, and we're not necessarily going to announce who voted for everybody, but they're not secret ballots, so keep that in mind. Indicate your choice, fold it up, and then we'll go around and collect them and tally them.
Apparently I haven't had enough of elections lately, so.
Hopefully we won't ever recount.
We'll swear we'll leave it in the market.
Making sure you only have one, so we don't have more
That's a good
ballots.
idea.
Yeah,
That's not start all over?
Yeah.
We only get one vote.
We need to put our name on them if they're not secret.
Yes.
Well, now you tell them. Your name's on them.
And they have to put your name on them if it's not secret.
Hopefully that one's yours. Hopefully that one's yours.
Put our name on it?
Put them all on top. That way. Did anybody just roll put your name on?
Why don't we just pick them up and do it again?
Do we have any more sheets?
Of course I do.
Okay, I'm okay.
Okay, so
What do we do?
who did not write their name on it? Who?
Everybody on this side.
Okay, so
Start over.
you did not, you have your name on yours?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm just gonna go, okay, that's what I'm gonna check. Give those to,
I'll give them
Jerome.
away. Can't count anything. I left mine in the front.
So write your name on one side and then who you're voting for on the other.
Elaine, because only certain elections can be conducted by secret ballot
Okay.
per statute. So when we do things like this, we have to be able to identify.
do you have your name on yours, Craig? Yes.
So now
Oh, okay.
They can both be on the
Either way.
Steve will come around and get them from you and then I'll start. Want that?
You may need it. You may have to use it.
Actually, I got two, and they were given to me as a gift from our past president of the auxiliary, because I had the donkeys in the auxiliary. They decided to do the mascot.
Your name's on there? Yours? Name's on there? Name's on there? Well, it's 2/3 of them.
Oh, didn't have good instructions.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
You're counting?
Yes. Attorney Wendell, or well, yes.
You like-
Okay, I have everyone's ballot, right?
You have elections. Period.
Yep.
Better not be a tie.
We've got 17 here, so that
How
would
many
be
we have?
not impossible.
Someone could turn in a blank. Right in? Yeah, there we go.
No write-ins, there's no registered write-ins either.
Either, 'cause that's very useful.
Most ballots are able to be inspected by the public, correct?
Come over and look right here. Yep,
Saying for future evidence,
they will be
the
saved.
candidates wanted us to review that, they could, that's what I'm getting at.
So I have that. We count those. Yep, open and 6. So results are 6 for Perry and 11 for Engel. That is your total of 17, which is what you have present.
Congratulations, Mr. Engel.
I'll swear you in, Larry, after we're done, but if you want to have a seat, I'll put your name tag up there. I came prepared with both of them, so.
Welcome to the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, hey, thanks for
All right, we have our new supervisor for District 6. Item B under appointments is Comprehensive Community Services Committee members.
Okay, so Tricia presented me with this information as we needed to appoint new members to the CCS committee. So you will see the listing below, so I'm just asking for your blessing on these appointments.
Chance to look at that. Do we have a motion on those appointments?
Make the moves.
Motion by Mr. Williamson to approve them, second by Mr. Manning. All those in favor of making the indicated appointments, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Got that done. Thank you. All right, item 10, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Joseph and Edna Hochstetler in the town of Aiken.
This will be ordinance number 24-28, amendment number 611 to Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5. The following describe 18.06 acre parcel belonging to Joseph and Edna Hochstetler in the town of Aiken is rezoned from illegal non-conforming to the Ag Residential District. The ordinance shall be effective upon passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 4 of 2024.
The ordinance, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. McKay, second by Mr. Brewer. Discussion. Steve?
Again, this is another one where as someone applies for a permit, and there is a parcel that's not zoned correctly, we're getting them updated and corrected.
Do we have questions? If not, all in favor of the rezoning, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? We'll move on to item 11, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Mark and Julie Luther in the town of Forest.
This will be ordinance number 24-29, amendment number 612 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5. That the following describes 6.93 acre parcel belonging to Mark and Julie Luther in the town of Forest is rezoned from Ag Forestry to Ag Residential District. Once again, effective on passage and publication and offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 4 of 2024.
The ordinance, do I have a motion? Motion by Fleming, second by Gill. And discussion.
It's the same situation as the Hochstetler parcel, just getting it updated to the correct zoning.
Any questions? All in favor of the ordinance, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session.
Kathy told me there's 4, but I didn't get the names or whether there are 4 pending.
Okay, refer those to the
And
natural
there were none that were denied.
Okay, none recommended for denial. So that takes care of 12 and 13. Item 14, reports, starting with the county administrator.
Okay, so we are really in the middle of the Tyler update. A lot of us are trying to squeeze in trainings, several meetings. We commenced with updates, our meetings to start updating the general ledger and the finance practices today. That is a very big undertaking. Larry and Derek are taking the lead on that. There will be a series of 4-hour meetings. There's one today, tomorrow, and one Thursday. And so that's taking staff from HHS, that's taking staff from the courthouse, and we're all kind of putting our heads together to determine what our needs are, what things should look like. We're also going through now and starting to determine permissions, what permissions to access what information should be there, thinking through the real heavy lift on the setup piece right now and how to better account for our financials day to day. So a lot of thoughts going into this, a lot of work's going into it. I'm really excited to see the outcome, and I do think reporting and the data that you all will be able to access readily available on the website is going to be amazing. So it's really exciting stuff. A lot of work, but very exciting. The wage study, Tessa and I are meeting on Friday, and she is hoping to give me a few scenarios for the potential wage scale and implementation strategy. She did speak to the executive committee previously and to you all about that. So once we kind of know where it's at, those are the options then that I will bring forward to all of you for discussion so that we can hopefully get implementation ready to go by on January 1 or the first payroll in January, which would be exciting. So we're doing that. We are in labor negotiations with the Sheriff's Union. We had our second meeting today. Things are going well. We have some items that we're still working through, but obviously until we know more about wages, it's really hard to reach a final settlement. So we're working on that. And the grant is out for the campus grant, the reconfiguration grant or the repurpose grant. It's a pretty lengthy application and has a lot more data required in it than what we were initially anticipating, which is interesting based on the first application. But I am meeting with Ela. She is our representative from the state, from WEDC. I'm meeting with her on Thursday to walk through that and to get some guidance on what specifics we can prepare if we don't have a budget yet, if we're still looking at the possibilities for repurposing. We do have some definitive items. We have the bridge, you know, we have the study that we've done. So those things are costs that are tangible. We can prove them, we can show the information, and I did upload all of that. But, you know, are they seeking a more definitive plan? And if so, what is it that they're looking for? And that can maybe drive some and inform some decision making for this board then, so that I can fill that out and we can get that money. You know, year end is coming, everybody's scrambling, trying to get money spent, trying to get invoices paid, getting ready for ACA reporting and, you know, W-2s and all of that fun stuff. So it's gearing up to be a really busy year between implementation and all of that. Pine Valley, the other night, they are in the thralls of their Matrix implementation too, which is their new medical software. So that's been a really big job. Poor Larry is probably so sick of training, he doesn't even know his own name, because between Tyler and Matrix, he is doing a lot of work and a lot of training. So lots of exciting things happening, and I think everyone's moving along just fine, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Brewer.
I would like to make the observation that when the wage study comes in, we actually have some funds set aside.
Yes, yeah, about 800.
Unlike other times when we've done wage studies,
Yes.
we were caught without funds,
Yes.
in the bag.
$890,000 roughly, I believe that's what's in the budget. And so that is why we have to really be conscientious about the way that we do the implementation, because we have so many people that are paid under $20 an hour. So we need to try to make sure that we're right sizing and bringing those people up first, and then figuring out how do we pay everyone else and phase them into the wage study. Do we do it all at once? Do we do it in phases based on how under or over the market you are? So there's some strategy involved in how best to make this work, but yet still making sure everyone gets something. So that is why we'll have some options to present to the board for your decision to making.
Other questions for the administrator?
The campus grant, is that the $2 million?
Yes.
So that's not completely approved yet. We still have to submit documentation saying what it's going to be used for?
Yeah, this has been an interesting process. Initially, the governor approved the legislation taking a lot of the red tape away, and it seems as though through the application process, the Economic Development Agency has inserted more red tape. So, yes, we do have to, you know, initially we fought back on the language. We got that language removed, But now, you know, they're asking for a budget, they're asking for plans, they're asking for things that initially in the legislation, it was pretty much ask for it, get your letters of support from the community, and you'll get the money. And now it seems like there's a lot more, you know, red tape to getting to the end of it. So I was just talking with Chair Turk about that, and I'm going to, again, meet with ELA, get some guidance on that, and then move forward.
Any other questions? Thank you, Administrator Pesch. Campus Reconfiguration Committee update.
Okay, so the Campus Reconfiguration Committee met about 2 weeks ago. Venture Architects was online, as well as some engineering experts for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, those sorts of things, to discuss the winterization of the buildings. We got a few more answers, but we're still researching one of the systems in the science building. We think we found a solution to that, which is wonderful. So we can regulate the temperature in that building better than we thought we could without doing expensive repairs, which is outstanding. So the decision is yet to be made as far as, are we going to just keep all of the buildings at minimal heat, or are we going to blow out the water lines and shut some of those buildings completely down and have no heat to them for the winter? We're having another meeting tomorrow night, so that will be an opportunity to have further those discussions, as well as discussing the space needs and potential future planning. So that will come tomorrow night. I have emailed all the department heads so that they can be aware as well, because the space needs study does affect them. They all participated numerous times and were very involved in the dialogue, so I wanted to ensure that they also heard the news. And so we will see what they have to present. Kyle did just send me an email with a link to a bunch of files. I have been unable to open it on this computer. If I can open it on my desktop, I will send that out to all of you so that you can preview whatever it is that they're going to present tomorrow, because I have not yet seen it. So we'll all probably see it at the same time. So from there, then I think the discussions will continue on where we go from here.
Mr. Gill.
Do we have numbers on current utilities? We talked about that, we had no idea what it was costing us, but do we know now that we're paying it?
Roughly $10,000 a month.
10 grand a month.
Yes.
Yeah, and so at the committee, we were asking questions about what is the practicality of, okay, rather than spending 10 grand a month, can we shut down a couple of those buildings and lessen it?
Sure.
And the answer we got back from the consultant was, yes, you can do that. But if you make that decision to let it go to ambient temperature and it's getting, below zero in wintertime here in Wisconsin, you're pretty much writing off that building. So that's why the decision is pretty significant if we choose to go that route. There was a statement they made that I wanted to share with the board. Lots of decisions made 20 years ago have severely limited the future sustainability of the buildings. The decisions were understandable, but unfortunate. So things like not replacing windows and not maintaining roofs and things like that have all come back to create extremely high costs now, as opposed to what they would have cost 20, 25 years ago. And again, the consultant said it's very understandable why the county chose to go that route, but that is what's left us in the position we're in now. Any other questions for the Campus Reconfig Committee? We meet again tomorrow night. Yes,
Is the bridge totally done now out there? Totally done?
Hasn't even been started.
I haven't started yet.
No, that'll be a next year project.
Yep. Yep.
We'll
We
start
have,
this
the
spring.
plans are done, it's approved. Josh is in the stage of obtaining the bids from the engineering firms, I believe, to get the official contract, and then we'll do it hopefully in the spring.
Okay.
But it is set to go.
And again, the status with the bridges is they're both so deficient that you can't safely move heavy equipment across them. So we couldn't really do anything substantial with the property out there until we get at least one bridge fixed. Any other questions? No, you're certainly welcome to join us tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, we're meeting here. Moving on, item 15 on the agenda, resolution approving the purchase of new computers, laptops, and monitors for Health and Human Services staff.
This will be resolution number 24-86. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the purchase of 12 laptop computers, 2 desktop computers, 10 monitors, and accessories for the Health and Human Services staff. Be it further resolved that the quote received in the amount of $22,003.50 is accepted, and the cost will be covered by ARPA funds, MAT grant funds, and ADRC carryover funds. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on November 7 of 2024.
Thank you for that resolution. Motion by Supervisor Kramer. Do we have a second? Second by Supervisor Harley. Tricia.
Hello. So these are computers that will cover 4 different units. One of them is the MIS department. The other 3 are within Health and Human Services. We try to replace computers every 4 to 5 years. And so these are the ones that need to be replaced this year. There will be no levy used to replace these computers.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item 16, a resolution awarding opioid settlement fund grants to applicants providing for the prevention, treatment, and/or recovery of opioid drug use.
This will be resolution number 24-87. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Richland County Department of Health and Human Services is hereby authorized to award opioid settlement fund grants to the following: Richland County Treatment Court in the amount of $5,000 for prevention efforts, treatment and recovery efforts, and to connect people to resources and expanding resources. Be further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing and publication. It is again offered to you by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on November 7 of 2024.
That's the resolution. Do we have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Fleming, second by Supervisor Brookins. And Tricia.
So the county right now has around $160,000 of opioid settlement funds. The committee had determined that the best utilization of these funds, and through resolution, this committee also approved that these funds would be offered to the community for grants. The Richland County Treatment Court requested $5,000 to cover incentives for the program. Currently, those incentives are covered through the state grant. Starting next year, the state grant is no longer going to be covering these incentives, and so we are requesting these funds, or they are requesting these funds to be used to cover the incentives for the program. Prior to them getting reimbursed, they have to show us receipts of what they've been using to purchase, what they've been using the funds for.
Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Is that enough for the entire year then? Yes. Is that what they're requesting for the year?
Yes.
Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
Can we hear a little bit about the opioid settlement committee? I don't know who that is.
So it was originally a committee of county employees. I know that Sheriff was on, Richland PD, the district attorney's office, our office, treatment providers in the community. Ingrid was a part of the committee, and that was formed when Clint was still here, so that was formed in late 2022. We then brought a proposal to the Community and Health Services Committee, which then brought that to you. So there is a resolution that talks about the funds being used this way.
Thanks. Sure. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Williamson.
Is there a deadline that the money has to be spent by?
We don't really have one for the total funds.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't think there was when we
No.
approved that, but
And we should continue to receive funds through 2038.
And we're voting on tonight is just the 5,000 part, so.
Correct. There would possibly be, there was a second grant application that we heard. We wanted more information, so there might be a second one that comes next month.
Anybody else have a question? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Thank you. Item 17, a resolution authorizing approval of the Richland County procurement policy and fee schedule.
So this will be resolution number 24-88. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county adopts the Richland County procurement policy and fee schedule. And be it further resolved that this resolution is effective upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12th of 2024.
Okay, for the resolution, do we have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Glassbrenner, second by Supervisor Fleming.
So, as you know, we've been working on this procurement policy for, it seems like forever, but we keep getting waylaid with other items, and so it's finally at the completion stage. Larry did an outstanding job of working with all of the departments to gather all current and potential fees going forward. We worked with Andy Phillips and WCA in order to put this policy together to ensure it was in compliance with Wisconsin statute, and also looked back at the old board rules, because contained in the old board rules were the spending guideline. So this lays out in a more clear fashion the expectation of purchasing and the process. Larry, what would you like to add?
I guess it kind of updates the process. It not only updates the levels that you have to have in the approval process, but it also dictates the type of bid process that it has to go through, and the competitive type of process that you have to go through. And it kind of just lays out the structure, and it'll lay out the structure so that when you put it in the new Tyler system, we should be able to follow that structure with the new Tyler system, so that should follow right through at certain levels, kick over for approvals, and so we should be able to follow this right through with our new Tyler system.
And it'll be a lot easier to find things. So there's a table of contents, you'll know where you need to go, not only for a fee, which this will be great to put on the website, because then people, if they want to know what a fee looks like, they can go and they can look it up. So that's going to be outstanding. But also for our staff, so that, you know, we all the time we struggle. Do we have to do this for this one? Do we have to do it? Now it's spelled out. We can look it up. We can make sure that we're all following the same process and doing everything in accordance with the rules that this board sets. So again, that's really the whole point and purpose of this.
You have questions on the policy or the fee schedule? In general, if it's something that's already been approved in the budget, the approval process for the expenditure is simplified, correct?
Correct. Now, if it is something that is approved in the budget, it doesn't have to come back through committee 2 and 3 times again, because it was already in that original budget. Now, if it is a departure from the original budget, or the amount changes and increases, it still has to come back through committee, and anything that is not included in the budget always has to come back through the committee and board.
Questions? No? All those in favor of adopting the new policy and fee schedule, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Item 18, resolution accepting a donation from the Richland County Ambulance Association.
All right, this will be resolution number 24-89. Now therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval to accept the donation from the Richland County Ambulance Association in the total of $30,866.64 to be deposited into Fund 47, which the full fund number is listed there for you on the resolution, for the purchase of personal protective equipment for EMS staff. Be it further resolved that this shall be effective upon passage and publication, and is once again offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12th of 2024.
That's the resolution. Do you have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Fleming, second by Supervisor Brookins. Any discussion? Mike?
I would first like to start off by recognizing Mr. Dean Wichtel for his 19 years of service to the Richland County Ambulance Service as a driver, as well as Treasurer of the Ambulance Association. He's officially retired as of yesterday. So 19 years of service, so thank you very much to him. He and his family are moving to Texas, and I hope he enjoys the weather. So this resolution before you today is again to accept the donation of a little over $30,000. These funds have been raised by the Ambulance Association, community members, fundraising events over many years. We did not want to dissolve the Ambulance Association, but due to how the bylaws were set up and some tax reasons, it was best to dissolve the association to establish new. And part of their bylaws, they have to dedicate money certain ways if they were ever to be dissolved. So the goal forward is these funds are going to be used to outfit every member of our organization with actual custom-fitted personal protective equipment for them to perform their duties and be safe doing it. So looking forward to having that equipment.
questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Resolution's adopted. Thank you very much. Item 19, a resolution approving a change order to Edge Consulting Engineers Incorporated contract.
And this will be resolution number 24-90. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby given for a change order to the contract with Edge Consulting Engineers, Inc. of Prairie du Sac in the amount of $26,200 for necessary changes per change order number 2, which will now total $353,850. Be it further resolved that the funding for the project shall be covered through the radio tower borrow funds, and be it further resolved that the county administrator shall have the authority to enter into any necessary contract amendments with Edge Consulting Engineers of Prairie du Sac, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This is once again offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12 of 2024.
So resolution, do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Manning, second by Supervisor Fleming. Any discussion?
So this change order resulted because we had a change in location of tower. It was nothing that, it's not something initiated by Edge, it was initiated by the county. That tower, the initial location, as we started through the leasing process, we found that it probably wasn't going to be a good fit for the county for the next 15 years. We needed to find an alternate location, which we did, which very fortunately happens to be right across the street from the original tower location. But we still have to do the pre-work to get a tower built. Nothing's been built. We can't start that process until this is approved. We have everything ready. If we can get this approved, we can still work on it yet this year, which is why we're here, hoping that if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. It's a good location, and the negotiations with this landowner have been much easier.
Anybody have questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item 20, resolution approving countywide training and development with the Lou Everett Group.
This will be resolution number 24-91. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval of the Lou Everett Group training proposal is given, and be it further resolved that this resolution is effective immediately upon passage. This is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12 of 2024.
Okay, approve the resolution. Do you have a motion? Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Supervisor Glassbrenner. Any discussion?
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, I was distracted. So this is for countywide training, and it really is to define our mission, vision, and values, and to identify the goals that we have as a board, and then reach that even further out into our county staff. So they're going to be coming on site for at least the first kickoff and the first series of trainings, and then after that, some of them will be done via Zoom. And if we determine we want them back on site, we now have a cost for that as well if we want them to come back. So initially, we will focus the training on the county board and the department heads working together to define our mission, vision, and values, to look at our overall mission statement and team dynamics. We're going to talk about overcoming toxicity and misinformation, doing some conflict resolution training, some crisis communication training, and then we're going to move on to building employee pride and resilience. So work on some employee recognition programs. That's one of the things that I've noticed since I came on. We don't have any mechanism for recognizing our employees. I used to do an annual recognition dinner with our employees. So, working with employees to find out what things would make them feel valued and developing some sort of a program to acknowledge them for their service. And so also resilience. Just today we have had some very unfortunate events happen in the county that have impacted some of our staff, and resilience is important. And so giving us some tools and maybe start some programming to advocate for that resilience within our staff countywide. And then feedback and future planning. So that will be, setting future goals for where we want to be. We want to have some open discussion, some strategic planning and next steps for this piece, the mission, vision, values, the goals, the employee recognition, those things. And this is really all a lead-in to then revisiting our overall strategic plan. And we will still have Southwest Regional Planning come back in and retool that, since we have accomplished almost everything on that list. So this is a reset and restart with all of the new board members and the new department heads to really define who we are as a county and what we want to be going forward and set some goals for everyone. So everything that's going to be in the training is shown here. And so we just asked, ARPA dollars will be used for this. We had set aside some ARPA dollars, so there will be no tax levy used for this at all in any way, shape, or form.
Do you have questions on the proposal? Supervisor Hendricks.
Other neighboring counties using this program? I'm just curious, I've never heard of that.
So this program actually was referred by Chair Turk. He has worked with them. And in my administrator group, I've actually shared this information because there are other counties that are going to follow suit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They did some training with my team for my day job.
I was curious. Thank you.
Mr. Woodhouse.
It looks like there's quarterly, so this is to take place over a year?
Yeah.
With quarterly?
Yep.
Meetings and then consulting time in between, it looks like?
Yep. There's some check-ins, some surveys, some reporting that they're going to do, different things like that. So there's some different engagement activities, and I think that'll be driven by what the board's wishes are and the leadership team.
Is there with those check-ins and under the accountability section there, does that include individual coaching? Or is this more team-based coaching?
Right now it's team-based. And so if we decide though that we want it to go further, or we want to, let's say, one of the things that I know we don't do a great job of is when someone is transitioned into a supervisory or a managerial role. We don't have a lot of great training for them. So is there potential for us to, engage with them or someone else, Southwest Tech, or, to bring in someone to do some of that training? But again, that's kind of part of this whole, let's define some goals and let's identify those things and what can we do big picture then to engage our employees further, build them up, give them more skills, and ensure that they're successful.
Excellent, thank you.
Other questions? If not, then all those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item 21, a resolution approving codification of the Richland County Rules of the Board.
This will be resolution number 24-92. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the codification of the Richland County Rules of the Board. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. This is offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12, 2024.
For the resolution, do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Supervisor Fleming. Discussion. Mr. Frank.
So the previous meeting, we had some questions about the language for the Sheriff's Department. And
Wrong one.
that,
Wrong one.
Oh, that was,
No, that's the next one.
No, this is the board rules.
this is the board rules, I'm sorry, apologize, I'm one ahead of myself here. I won't argue this one.
With that, though, I do have a clarification.
Thank you. Yes.
In executive committee, one of the questions that we had was to really illustrate the difference between an ordinance and a resolution. So we now have the attorney in the room, so.
So a resolution is meant for temporary measures or those that are not meant to carry the weight of law. An ordinance is what we call a statute at the county level. So it's enforceable by law enforcement. It is meant to endure until changed. That's really all it comes down to is an ordinance is heftier, I guess, for lack of a better term.
This was a recommendation from Andy Phillips that when we developed the rules, that they be codified. We separated that out into 2 steps, so we approved the rules first, and now we're taking the step of codifying into ordinance. Even though they're an ordinance, they can still be changed. We modify ordinances all the time. So. Questions? If there are none, then all those in favor of adopting or codifying the rules into the ordinances, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
2 opposed?
Severson and Hendricks, is that a good thing?
Thank you. It is adopted. Item 22, ordinance adopting and enacting a new code of ordinances for Richland County.
Start with this one?
Yes.
Okay, so this was first presented to you folks back on October 29th. So you'll recall at that meeting, I went over the plural, years-long process to get all of our ordinances out of our books, the size of the United States, into the nice little version that we have back here. So you'll remember that discussion took all of our ordinances, put them into a codified code of ordinances that really went through departmental review, Attorney Wendell attorney review, and also we were assigned a code attorney as a part of that project from MuniCode, now Civic Plus. So at the meeting to adopt this last month, we chose to postpone adoption because one of the new chapters in here is chapter 16, which is one of the law enforcement chapters, but largely focuses on the sheriff's department. And as a result of the codification of those ordinances, the proposed codification that we have here was perceived to be missing some information. So the heart of that the heart of that chapter lived with what we formerly know as Ordinance 89-7, which had a mix of personnel, policy, procedures in there, and then a little mix of statutory language as well. So the reason that it looked a little sparse on the codification was a lot of those items perceived to be either policy or procedure were removed from there, and it was left with just what was, statutory in nature or something along those lines, right? So we were cleaning up ordinances that had been amended. I don't know how many times that was amended over the years.
Pages and pages.
Right, several times. So we chose to not adopt the code of ordinances that we have before us and take it back to committee. So after our meeting, I reached out to Ms. Fox, who's our code attorney, and said, hey, we didn't adopt the code. What do we do now? So she replied back to me with some answers, but in the meantime then, the Public Safety Committee met their meeting in November, reviewed the ordinance formerly known as 89-7, and then separated out, I wasn't at that meeting, but I believe you folks separated out policy stuff and then stuff that should be codified into the code of ordinances, whatever that material may be. So while that was happening, Sandra, the code attorney, got back to me and did let me know that, she said a couple different things, but one of those things was that it would take 2 to 3 months to kind of work this all out, which we kind of alluded to at any rate. I know Supervisor Frank did share the proposed update to the ordinance or the codification, so she has that. And I think initially her thought was that it was actually just going to be some minor tweaks that were perhaps missed in the proofing process, or overlooked for whatever reason. But as her response to me indicated on Thursday, it actually is quite a bit of a rewrite for that proposed chapter that we had, because again, it was a few paragraphs compared to an amendment of ordinances that had been amended over time. So that being said, her response to me, and this is why you see this on the agenda again, and I will read what her email said. In short, I recommend that you proceed with the code adoption so we can get the code online and ready for the amendment you're working on. So that's why I put it back on this agenda, was she's the code attorney kind of advising this process. We're not all experts in this, but nonetheless, my thought was if we approve this code, you all meet again on December 10th. So we could, for the board, you can bring the ordinance formerly known as 89-7 back to this board for approval, and that would really be a an amendment to the codification that we've adopted. She said, I hope the above procedural information is helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions. The difference between recodification and supplementation can get confusing when working with a new code before adoption. So we just had a few other things to work out that we didn't get to before this was put together as this. So we kind of reached a juncture where maybe we could have been last meeting, but there's, in my opinion, and Attorney Window, please chime in if you need to, there's two ways I suppose we can proceed with this. We can follow Attorney Fox's advice and adopt the code as we have it, take the amendment that you, Public Safety's approved, bring that back to the December meeting, then send her that, and over the next couple months, the code will then be amended shortly after being adopted to incorporate all the things that you guys need to for your code, and then we can move on. Or I suppose we could choose to not adopt anything and adopt it all December 10th. I don't know as though that's really gonna save a ton of time. It's still gonna be a 2 to 3 month turnover in time, but nonetheless, that's kind of where we're at now. I do know that when the code does go live, yes, it will go live, if you will. I mean, it's already kind of live, it's just not approved. There is a disclaimer on there that says, for the most up-to-date code, contact whatever office. And of course, for an additional subscription service, you can pay a little more to have like the codes that need to be codified listed on there. I don't necessarily know, Zoe, we need to do that. All of these code things would be in the meeting packet anyway, but nonetheless, that's an option too. We just didn't have that option because we already have what I thought to be the full service for the code anyway. So that's why it's on the agenda tonight. The ordinance, formerly known as 89-7, is not on this agenda. It was just a timing thing as well because we're just here now. So that's what I have for the explanation, sir, and the two pass it. You guys can go to kind of proceed with this.
Okay. So before we have discussion, we get a motion on the ordinance. Motion by McKee, second by Brewer.
How did you know I was going to have something to say?
Just kind of had a thought.
All right, so I want to thank the email chain that went through. It was a lot of activity, a lot of communication back and forth between the people doing the codification. Through the process, my concern was there were some things that were incorrect enough that had they been posted without any disclaimer, it would have been very confusing to the public or anyone else looking at it. Now that we are as close as we are, and we have a disclaimer on there that clearly says, for updated ordinances, you need to check with, I'm okay with that. Prior to that, we didn't know what it was going to say or what it was going to look like, and that was a concern. So in communication with the attorneys and with the code people and Attorney Wendell and Derek, I'm from the chair of the Public Safety Committee, I'm good with this. We'll have that document, the 89-7 rewrite to you on December 10th, but again, we have a disclaimer, so I think we should move forward.
And I think it's going to take them a couple weeks before this is probably even going to be live. I think there's a little bit of stuff they have to do in the background anyway, so it's not like once you approve it, I'm gonna go hit live and it's gonna be on the web. There's still gonna be a little bit of carryover, and as you all know, we're meeting December 10th for your next county board meeting. It's early in December, which helps us this time, because I think by the time we get this approved, let Sandra know, and then we get that code updated, there's gonna be a very, very minimal time between, that hopefully going live, so.
Right.
Other questions or comments?
Well, a comment, I think we should move ahead on this and get it posted and then do our work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brewer.
We've got to get it up there.
Other comments?
And then we'll do a reprint too, so we'll get some of these binders reprinted. That's going to be later, but there will be reprinted paper copies in the office as well.
No further comments or questions, then all in favor of adopting the ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We have enacted our new code of ordinances. Thank you. Item 23, a resolution approving acceptance of a grant from the Richland County Campus Foundation.
This will be resolution number 24-93. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is granted to accept the Richland County Campus Foundation grant in the amount of $3,000 Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon passing and publication and is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on November 12th of 2024.
Resolution, motion. Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Supervisor Kramer. And discussion, Adam?
I guess just point here, the $3,000 is to cover the county share of a program provided by the State 4-H Association. So with that $3,000, we'll be able to pay the county share of $2,500 to get a half-time AmeriCorps worker for a year to help expand 4-H programming in the county. So pretty good deal for everyone all around.
Any other questions? Not all those in favor of accepting the grant, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? We'll move on to items 24 and 25, which are closed sessions. You can see the statutory references listed on the agenda. The first purpose is for litigation issues. I don't want to read that whole thing. And the second one is for the county administrator annual performance review. So I'd be looking for a motion to go into closed session for those two purposes. Motion by Kramer, second by Manning. All those in favor of entering into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? To show that it was a unanimous vote to move into closed session.